All right, chat. Someone suggested me Count Dankula video. Dankula video. The man who almost killed anime, chat. Big fan of anime. I don't know if you know that, but let's watch this.
Saying that, yes, anime is weird. And before you start shadowbox...
I'm not going to lie, because of his accent, I thought he said anime is real.
I'll start by saying that, yes, anime is weird. And before you start shadowboxing in the comments, no, I'm not saying that anime is secretly evil. That's stupid, and you're a dum-dum. Anime is just aggressively creative.
It's very over the top, right? And I think anyone who watches anime, like there will be. Well, here's the thing, right? I'm gonna say it like this, and I say it like this to anybody who's like, "Well, I don't know what anime to get into," and I always just tell them, "Well, what do you like?" Because if you can tell me whatever you like, we'll find you an anime. It's just that anime encompasses so much. You'll find anime that isn't over the top, right? But then you will find the ones that are way too over the top. It's just anime is so broad. I almost am surprised people don't like anime because whatever you like, we can find you an anime for it, right?
It came from a country that was isolated for centuries, nuked twice, and then brought back from the ashes as an economic powerhouse. And that kind of historical whiplash had some kind of weird artistic side effects in the form of giant robots in space, 1,000-year-old dragon girls that look like they need supervision crossing the street, and of course, an ungodly amount of unnecessarily detailed panty shots. And yet, I like
it. And I need you to know that, yes, those shots are, in fact, integral to the plot. Critical, some might even say. Downright needed, if we're being very, very honest with ourselves.
Not for the panty shots. I'm talking about examples such as Studio Ghibli who entertained our inner child while Hayao Miyazaki was actively neglecting his own.
Those are just, like, beautiful, beautiful. I recommend if anyone, like, you check your local theater and just hope that they will be doing, like, some kind of showing of a Studio Ghibli movie. Because I seen one in a theater. It was great, dude. It was a great experience. Being able to see it on a huge screen like that was amazing.
The other recent examples, like Baki, where after watching...
Baki is one I don't know if I can get into because the animation style is just a little too weird for me. But I kind of want to watch... I might still watch it anyways because, you know, it's martial arts and martial arts are super cool.
Every single episode, I always go down to the gym. And one of my personal favourites... Akiba Maid War. A show
I've heard of that.
Wait,
I've heard of that.
What if
I've
maid
heard of
cafes
that. Yeah.
acted exactly like the Yakuza? And that anime is absolutely fucking amazing because I'm just an absolute sucker for animes with completely schizophrenic premises.
Oh, food. I have never watched an anime that had left me more confused as to what I had just watched other than Furikuri. I legitimately sat down, the last episode aired, and I was like, I still have no idea what the hell the plot is. But it was great. It's a very, very well-animated anime. It's really, really good.
They present 100% seriously.
I'll watch it again. I just won't get it again, but I'll watch it. It's so cool.
Had a major impact on the world, one way or another. I mean, take a look at Mexico. Cartel activity actually drops every single time a new Dragon Ball episode comes out. And the only thing that's keeping that country's moral compass intact is, what would Goku do?
I always say this too. I legitimately would believe if Mexico had the ability to, they would make Goku a saint. They would what is it? What's the word? Canonize? They would legitimately canonize Goku. 100%. It's really funny.
At the end of the day, though, most of it is harmless escapism like any other form of culture.
Yeah.
But with every form of culture, there's always someone that needs to fucking ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah.
Football has hooligans. Gaming has that one guy who's always yelling slurs at other players.
We had the same joke. Damn it. Damn it. I couldn't stop him in time for him to say the exact thing I was gonna say. I think it's just in every gamer's what is it called? It's in every gamer's instinct to just say, yeah, that's me, by the way.
And anime, well, anime had one guy who was so demented, he almost single-handedly destroyed the entire industry by causing essentially a satanic panic towards otaku culture. Thousands of writers, artists, animators, and decades of blood, sweat, and tears, and all it took was one deeply deranged guy to make people think that otakus are potential serial killers.
I've never heard of that.
Tsutomu Miyazaki, the otaku killer.
What? Count Dankula intro. I always think about bringing back my old intro, but like I couldn't get it to fit for it to fit. The otaku killer.
Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. Hey Patriots, let me stop you from popping your zins and owning the libs for just one moment while I give you a real truth pill. You see this thing right here? Yeah, this powder. Did you know that this powder does three things that Big Supplement will charge you $10,000 for?
Damn.
Yes, really. You see, it releases stem cells from your bone marrow, makes you 27% harder to kill, and it floods everything with nitric oxide.
Oh, okay.
All of my staff have been trying to kill me for years, and they still haven't even done so much as tickle me. But don't just take my word for it. Check out Dr. Simon Mills, one of the top herbal medicine researchers in the world.
I love
it's a medicine. End of. It's one of the best.
I love when people have ads, but they're very creative. Like, oh god, who was the other one who had a really good ad? They always do great ad reads, and I don't remember who it is off the top of my head. And I always comment on how great the ad reads are. But yeah,
eating cocoa, beneficial changes in your blood flow.
They call it the heart medicine.
Yeah, heart, circulation, brain, but it also, of course, we know it contains a few other beneficial stimulators.
How long is this ad?
Sort of similar to the effects of the coffee, which incidentally, as I've already said, is a medicine as well. But cocoa and chocolate does have an uplifting effect, which is why we love it so.
That's right. Dark chocolate. But here's where the normies get it wrong. The flavanols get destroyed when the chocolate is processed.
Oh no.
In my grumbly tummy, of course. Regular chocolate only has 50 milligrams of dead flavanols, which is chump change for a real flavonoid like myself. This here Black Forest high flavanol cocoa powder has 1200 milligrams of pharmaceutical extracted flavanols. Expertly crafted for you to go alpha mode, just like me, a real alpha male. Normally, you can't claim any benefits in the supplement world. But this stuff, the FDA actually signed off on a health claim saying that cocoa flavanols support heart health and also reduce cardiovascular risk. Studies show faster cognition, 8.6 seconds quicker, 80% better blood flow, and 27% lower mortality. Backed by a 21,000-person Harvard study, so conclusive, the FDA approved it.
As someone who's an immortal demon, I'm telling you, I'm over it.
Cocoa flavanols into a potent formula made in the USA.
Living forever isn't all it's all cracked up to be.
Just launched their New Year, New Me deal of the year, and it is insane. 50% off on their best-selling cocoa formula, available for 48 hours only. This sale ends in 48 hours, and when it's over, it's gone for good.
Well, this video was about a month ago, so I think it might be over. I can't lie, chat.
So I don't expect prices to be this cheap ever again. So if you've been thinking about trying it, act now. Once 48 hours passes, this promotion is going to be gone, and the prices will go up again. So stock up before it's gone forever.
I'm assuming the prices went up by now.
Take control of your health before someone else does it for you. like me.
Oh, God.
Oh boy, do I look forward to butchering every single pronunciation.
I'll try to help
video.
you out, bud. Don't worry about it.
Tsutomu Miyazaki, no
You
relation
probably got
to
that one
our
right.
favourite grass enjoyer, was born on August 21st, 1962 in Itsuki-ichi.
Please let me off of Mr. Miyazaki's Wild Ride.
Tokyo Prefecture that merged with Akigawa in 1995 to form what is now Akuru no Tokyo.
Okay.
Back in the 60s, though, Itsuki-ichi was a quiet little suburban town surrounded by nice little hills and forests with a population of around 20,000. And with that kind of population, basically everybody all knew each other, and if you sneezed too hard, the Oji-san down the street would complain about it. And in that small town, one family stood out a little bit more than all of the others. And that was the Miyazakis.
Yeah.
Tsutomu wasn't born into poverty or some broken home like a lot of other people we cover on this channel. It was quite the opposite, actually. He was born into a wealthy and locally influential family, and from the outside it looked like the perfect place for a comfortable and crime-free life. Except the universe apparently decided to start his life on hard mode because Tsutomu was born premature, weighing about 2 kilograms or 4.8 pounds.
Damn.
And more importantly, he was born with a congenital deformity called radioulnar synostosis. And that was in both of his arms.
What does that mean?
Basically, his radius and ulna, the 2 bones in your forearm that normally rotate around each other, were fused together and locked at an abnormal angle. Basically, if Tsutomu wanted to rotate his wrist like a lot of you are trying to do right now after hearing
I hate it. I hate how you stop it. Don't call me out like that.
this, he had to swing his whole forearm around to do it.
Oh.
Functionally, he could use his hands. I mean, he could hold objects, operate things, and he even learned how to drive later on in his life. But visually, I mean, it was pretty obvious.
Right.
And also, just to clear something up, apparently this very, very famous image of Tsutomu's hands is not actually a picture of his real hands. But this image has been circulating for many years as a creature.
I was going to say, why does he look like something out of an Eldritch horror? Like, what? It looks like the kind of thing that... oh, God. If you guys ever played Phasmophobia, when the hands go over your eyes, that's the way that hand looks. I'm not going to lie.
Nevertheless, his hands were still pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Tsutomu was one of 4 children in the Miyazaki household. He had 1 older sister and 2 younger ones. His father, Katsumi Miyazaki, owned and ran a local newspaper called the Akikawa Shimbun. And the family had political connections too, because both his grandfather and great-grandfather served as town council members.
So basically he was like set up to have any kind of life he would want to have, right? Because when you're born into like that kind of money and influence, you would imagine someone could pretty much live the life that they want to. I wonder where it all went wrong. Because that could always happen to anybody, right? It's not like you're just set up for success and you just win. Literally anything in your life could happen. Like his dad could be an asshole or something, and it just like goes downhill, right?
All of this is to say that the Miyazaki name carried money, influence, and the kind of reputation where you would assume your children would grow up to be a politician or lawyer or something equally fucking boring. But the reality inside of the house...
It does sound pretty boring to be a politician or an office, I'm not gonna lie. I just imagine doing paperwork all day. Which is probably what they're supposed to do, right? I mean, that's what it makes sense, right? But it does sound pretty boring. I'm not going to lie. Money sounds nice, though.
Was a lot different. Tsutomu's father was a massive workaholic when running the newspaper. And the entire family was extremely focused on status and material success. So... emotional support for his socially awkward birth defect son ranked somewhere at the very bottom of his list of priorities. Later, during police interrogation, Tsutomu was quoted as saying, "All I wanted was being listened to about my problems." And that whenever...
I mean, I kind of get that. like as someone who was born into a family of immigrants from Mexico, they're not exactly. I'll say this: my parents are a lot more understanding now, but coming from a small rural town in Mexico, where even when I was there, mind you, when I was there was barely enough like street lamps to like light up the sidewalk. Like, it's a very small, poor rural town for my mom, at least. Like, I didn't learn until like maybe a few years ago. Anxiety runs in my family. I was like, I probably could have used that information a while ago, because I'm not gonna lie, it kind of affects me. Like, it legitimately affects me, my brother, and my sister. I'm kind of raw dogging it. I don't recommend it, but I it's just because of what I'm doing. My brother and my sister are on other stuff for their mental health. Me, I'm just kind of raw dogging it. And that doesn't even cover my dad's side, who, even though he was born in the city, in a city, more of a city in Mexico, it's, how do I say it? He also didn't have the best idea for mental health, right? I mean, it's kind of like people make jokes about, immigrant families not caring about mental health, and it's not a joke, it's real.
He tried to actually talk to his parents about his problems. They just brushed him off.
Yeah.
And in that period of his life, Tsutomu was considering suicide. Because his parents were too busy not raising their child, the role of parental figure was taken by his grandfather, who Tsutomu described as the only family member that cared about him. There was also a hired male nanny in the house who was...
I will say this, though, despite, some things you kind of learn over time, right? When you're able to have that time. My parents, it's not that they didn't care about me, it's just more so... The only thing for me is just that my grandmothers raised me, right? First my dad's mom, or first my mom's mom, then my dad's mom a bit. It wasn't so much that they didn't care and they didn't show me love. It's just more they were just working a lot. So we always had a grandma in the house to raise us. They were just like, I would probably see my dad in the morning, but I wouldn't see my mom at night because my mom worked night shift, which is probably why I do it all the time as well. So yeah, I kind of get that, where your grandparents is kind of like, they kind of take up that role of like raising you. And, shout out to my grandparents. They're still alive. Mexicans are basically immortal.
Intellectually disabled.
Yeah.
They had a retarded nanny. Which I can
Wait, what did
imagine
you say?
In the house who was intellectually disabled.
Oh.
They had a retarded nanny. Which I can imagine made the whole caregiving setup a little bit weird.
Right.
But school was where things really went sideways for Tsutomu. Tsutomu attended Itsukuichi Elementary School, and of course his deformity made him an immediate target for the other children.
Kids are cruel, Chad.
Go back
Kids
and
are
remember
cruel.
your school days. Most of us were tiny psychopaths with absolutely zero empathy.
Kids are cruel,
I heard
Chad.
from a very reliable source that we unlocked that ability around age 30.
Yeah. Wasn't it like 33? I don't know. Interesting.
But anyway, over time, Tsutomu became extremely shy and isolated. So he did what most lonely kids do. He escaped into fiction. Tsutomu became obsessed with anime and manga, watching and reading it constantly to escape reality. I remember my school days where I did the same thing because I was bullied for having a micro penis. But unlike me, Tsutomu was...
Wait, how did they find out? I skipped into video games.
Surprisingly academically gifted.
Ooh.
He managed to...
I wish I was, instead of me sleeping in class up until the day I graduated. Man, that was Chat, I'm not a strong reader. I don't know if you can tell.
Get accepted into Meiji Nakano
Stay in school, kids.
High School in Tokyo,
Uh-huh.
a fairly prestigious school that was connected to Meiji University.
Oh.
One of the
Okay.
most popular and desirable private universities in Japan.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, Tsutomu was reportedly the first student from his junior high school to pass the entrance exam.
Oh, damn.
And his dream was to study English and become a teacher. Gay, but high school is where every...
I was not expecting that. I thought he was going to say something like, obviously that didn't pan out, but instead he called it gay. That's really funny.
thing really started to fall apart.
Right.
Whether it was social isolation, lack of
Uh-huh.
motivation, or some deeper psychological problem, Tsutomu's grades started to tank.
Really?
And by the time he graduated from high school, he ranked 40th out of the 56 students in his class. And
Damn.
that rank mattered a lot because top students were usually automatically accepted into Meiji University.
Mhm.
So Tsutomu didn't qualify and his academic dreams were basically shattered. Tsutomu decided to enroll in a local junior college where he studied photography technology. Basically the technical side of printing and photo processing.
Right.
He graduated from there in 1983 and started working at a printing plant owned by one of his father's acquaintances. And that lasted for about 3 years, and he said fuck it and knocked at his parents' house to take him back in. The job covered the bills, sure, but it wasn't enough to build a real career from, and I assume just moving back home was the easiest option.
Right.
Instead of living in the main house, though, he moved into a small 2-room bungalow that was attached to the house.
That's kinda cool.
And to make the return home even more awkward, he ended up sharing the bedroom with his older sister.
Oh.
Oni-chan, stop looking at my deformed mutant hands.
Stop. Wait, isn't he? Wait, was it his older sister?
Sister. He ended up sharing the bedroom with his older sister. Oni-chan.
Well, One-chan. Let's relax here.
Stop looking at my deformed mutant hands.
Ne-chan, please.
Yamate kudasai. I am so sorry. By this point, Tsutomu was in his 20s and showing absolutely zero interest in taking over the family newspaper business. And he started to isolate himself in the house to the point where his mother just went and bought him a whole car to get him out of the fucking house from time to time. Then,
that sounds kind of
in
nice.
1988,
Well, I guess they are rich, right? I was gonna say, man, I kind of just want a car, just for the hell of it. That'd be kind of nice. Just a whole car.
Went to shit. And I mean, they really went to shit.
Oh no.
Tsutomu's grandfather, the only person in his life he felt an actual emotional connection to, died.
Damn.
And Tsutomu did not handle it well. According to his
I can't
own
imagine
statements
so,
later,
no.
he, and I shit you not, ate his own grandfather's cremated ashes because he believed it would help him.
So this is probably where it starts going downhill, huh? Interesting.
Reincarnate. Then, shortly after that incest voting, well, there was even more incest because his own sister caught him peeping on her while she was in the shower. And if that wasn't...
Yep, that's that. Yep, this is the beginning of the end. There it is. It's always one major event that just breaks someone, isn't it? Someone who's like just barely teetering on the edge of sanity. It's always something that'll just like knock them over the edge.
Already bad enough. After confronting him about that, he violently attacked her and smashed her head against the bathtub.
Oh, Jesus.
Then, when his own mother confronted him about it, he assaulted her as well. Tsutomu's father, though, did his absolute best to completely ignore everything that was happening.
Great. That'll end correct. That'll end great.
Just kind of pretending that the increasingly unstable man living just in the back garden wasn't as big of a deal as everyone was making it out to be. I'm very, very sure that the mentally disabled servitor of a nanny was enough to handle the situation.
Yeah.
It was
so.
very, very clear that Tsutomu's psyche was deteriorating at a rapid pace. And instead of seeking mental help, he just isolated himself further into his bungalow, barely interacting with anyone. And if anybody did try to help, he would violently lash out. Any connection he had to reality was just gone by this point.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's too far gone.
1988, a day after his 26th birthday, Tsutomu committed his first murder. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat that I am not going into detail about Tsutomu's murder spree. Not because it's not important, but because holy fucking shit, it's bad.
Oh,
it's so bad. It is some of the worst shit that I have ever read in my life.
You know, I was gonna say maybe I'll go look it up later. Maybe I won't look it up later. That's okay. Maybe some things are just better left not knowing, right? That's okay. I'm not that interested in finding out.
Like, the details are so fucked up and so disgusting that YouTube would absolutely demolish me if I got into them. So if you want to go into those specific details yourself about that particular part, first off, why would you want to?
Do you know what? It's so crazy that you say that, because I'm so good. I am A-okay. That's all right.
You've got like 3 million other better options to spend your free time on.
I would rather, you know what? Instead of doing that, I'm just gonna go finish Frieren. How about that?
And secondly, all you need to know is that Tsutomu was a pedo-cannibal necrophile.
That's all I needed to know. Good enough for me. I could. That's okay. That's enough.
What a fucking combination of words. And over the next 10 months,
I just had every debuff, huh? Just had it's not even a debuff at that point. I don't even know what to call it. Like, not even negative effects. That doesn't describe it enough. Just the worst kind of combination you could put in a person. That's for sure.
Murdered 4 girls. Mari Kono, age 4, Masami Yoshizawa, age 7, Erika Namba, age 4.
Oh, they were just kids too, man. That sucks. It always sucks hearing stuff like that, man.
And Ayako Nomoto, age 5.
Oh, Jesus.
I told you it was bad.
It's not
great.
great.
I haven't even told you what he did to them.
That's okay.
And I'm not going to.
That is A-okay. It's so crazy that you mentioned that, because that's okay.
And after each murder, Tsutomu would mail the remains of the murdered girls to their families as a taunt.
He's a psychopath.
A bunch of different messages. For example, one message read, "Mari, bones, cremated, investigate, prove." And he would send them under the alias Yuko Imada. Just to hammer down how fucked up and heartbreaking the murders were, here is what Mari Kono's father had to say during an interview. "We looked at her bones. We couldn't find her hands and legs. Without her hands and legs, she can't even walk in heaven. If possible, I'd like to return her hands and feet back to her so she may walk and eat in heaven." Jesus. Also, sometimes during my videos, I'll just tell all of you not to Google something or not to look something up, and I'm not saying it to...
I was not prepared for this when I clicked on this video, by the way. I didn't seek out this video either. Someone suggested in the react from my Discord chat. By the way, if you want to join the Discord, you guys can join the Discord. But I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know how to feel about it.
Be funny, and I'm not saying it for dramatic effect to show how serious the thing is. I'm saying it for the good of your sanity. Because too many times I tell people, don't Google that, and then I see someone in the comments with a 1,000-yard stare, absolutely traumatized, like, I Googled it. I'm trying to prevent that. I'm not saying this for a meme or for dramatic effect. I'm saying it genuinely for the sake of your own sanity. So whenever I tell you not to Google something, seriously, do not Google it. You do not want to know the details of these murders. The killings continued until July the 23rd, 1989, when Tsutomu saw two sisters playing in a park and he managed to separate the younger one. Thankfully, the girl's father managed to catch him in the act. Tsutomu panicked and ran away, but he was stupid enough to return to pick up his car where police were already waiting for him, and they arrested him on the spot.
Okay, good.
According to officers on the scene, Tsutomu was completely indifferent to everything. The kind of uncomfortable calm that makes you sweat bullets because it usually means that the person in front of you has mentally checked out a very long time ago. Later, that very same day, investigators obtained a search warrant for the bungalow, and no training or experience could have prepared them for what they found. VHS tapes. A lot of them.
Oh, jeez.
All on the shelves, in boxes, the floor, absolutely everywhere you looked, almost every single inch of the place was completely filled with tapes. Right. And when police finished counting them all, the number came to 5,763 tapes, with later reports rounding it up to 6,000. And just to make a comparison, mid-sized tape rental stores usually carry around 4,000 to 5,000 tapes.
And was it all just like anime
Tsutomu
stuff?
had a larger collection of tapes than actual fucking rental stores did.
Right.
But unlike rental stores, the content on these tapes was a lot worse.
I was wrong. I was like, oh, this is probably just anime and stuff like that, right? That's not what it is. Oh boy, this this story just gets worse and worse the more I listen to it, and I don't know how much more I want to listen to.
Some of them were just regular old anime tapes.
Okay,
but a huge portion of the collection consisted of horror and slasher movies. The tapes had things like the infamous Guinea Pig series, porn, hentai, and other very, very, very illegal stuff that I can't name here.
Right.
Investigators also found recordings that were directly connected to the murders. Tsutomu had filmed a bunch of the things that he did to the girls. And the content of these tapes was so disturbing that several officers and inspectors involved in cataloguing this collection of tapes needed extended leave afterwards because they were all showing symptoms of PTSD.
I've heard that like officers like that who have to uptake the unfortunate act of cataloging and listening to certain things. I've heard stuff like that where they have to just they can't take it. They legitimately just can't take it, and I don't know how they do it, honestly. Shout out to anybody who's in law enforcement because I couldn't do it. I could not. Same thing with like medicine because I always see people like that, like doctors, and like I can't. I don't know how people do it. Anyone where you have to be responsible for the life of another person, I don't know how people do it. They are very, very strong people, and they have to be because it's like I don't know how they do it, dude.
That is how fucking bad the content was on some of these tapes.
Right.
Not long after that, Tsutomu confessed to everything. Although he tried to pin everything on an alter ego of his that he called the Rat Man. The police, understandably, went, is the Rat Man in the room with us right now? And promptly told him to shove that excuse right up his arse. And then the media got wind of everything. At first, it looked like any other normal, well, I wouldn't exactly call it normal crime coverage that started with focusing on the victims, the search efforts, and the horror of what happened. But that didn't last long, because once the details from the bungalow search leaked out, boy, did the press have a fucking field day with it. Almost overnight, newspapers stopped focusing on the murders themselves and became entirely obsessed with Tsutomu's lifestyle and the absolute mountain of tapes that were in his possession.
Really? Oh God, is this gonna be like the whole thing with like in the West over here? They would blame like Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto or any kind of violent video game like that when people do unspeakable acts. Is that what they're gonna do? They're gonna blame it on anime and stuff like that. Like, as I'm hearing this guy's life story from like the beginning of Miyazaki's life, it wasn't really. It feels like it was something that, like, his home life was. How do I say it? On paper, it looked good, right? He had everything you would want. He came from a rich family, but eventually, like, past that, he was just basically set. I don't want to say set up to fail, because his sister was not like that. It just you could tell it started earlier from that, I would say.
Here's the funny part, though. You would think that since most of the tapes were overwhelmingly slasher and horror movies, as well as other highly disturbing and illegal stuff, that the media would focus on those ones, right? Nope. Instead, they channeled their inner Jack Thompson and zoomed right in on that one specific small part of the collection. The anime.
Wait, the anime wasn't even like the larger part of the... Wow. I was going to say, that's kind of surprising that the anime was like the smaller portion of it. Why would they focus on that? I'm surprised they didn't go for the slasher films and just be like, whatever kind of movie this is needs to be outlawed or something.
The media coverage started framing the entire story around the idea that all of the insane and disgusting and depraved things that Tsutomu did were all the result of his otaku lifestyle. He watched anime, therefore anime clearly was the problem. Or you drink water? Hitler also drank water.
Yeah, but when people have a narrative and they have an agenda, which I'm surprised they had an agenda against anime, because maybe up until this point, I feel like anime wasn't really seen in a negative light. Maybe it's just more so the otaku lifestyle, right? Because just because you're an anime watcher doesn't mean you're part of that, shut-in lifestyle that this guy was a part of. So I guess it kind of makes sense in a way, but still, it feels so counterproductive and not focusing on the real issue, which was mental health, right?
Apparently, the fucking absolute reach from one psycho just so happened to own some anime to anime is producing psychopathic serial killers was a perfectly logical conclusion for half of Japanese journalists to reach at the time. Even though that godforsaken VHS pile had literally thousands of other much, much worse shit in there.
Jesus.
Like extremely graphic horror movies and outright snuff films. But the journalists still slapped the label the otaku murderer on the case and irreversibly started one of the biggest fucking witch hunts in Japan's modern history.
Man, that's an interesting... It's interesting that I've never heard of this, actually. I would have thought that, maybe I'm just being naive, that anime had kind of a, not squeaky clean, but a very easy rise in Japan. But I guess this guy, wow, surprised I've actually never heard of it from anybody. That's
before the Tsutomu case, the word...
But I guess by the time I wasn't born in the 80s, I wouldn't know anything about that, but I got an anime... When I got an anime, it was already, like, here, right? Like, in the... God, I don't even remember. I know that my first anime that I watched from, like, knowing it was anime, right? Not, obviously, you grow up with Dragon Ball Z, stuff like that, was Sword Art Online. Which is why I have such a soft spot for that anime, even though it's It's really bad. Although I heard Alicization is pretty good, but I haven't finished that yet. Yeah, it was like SAO, and then probably I don't know what else. But then eventually, Death Note, and then Full Metal Alchemist, and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is still one of my. It still is my favorite. God, I want to say it still is my favorite standalone anime, but Frieren is really up there, right? Like Frieren is such a once in a lifetime anime. I feel like
otaku existed as a way to describe people with obsessive hobbies, especially the ones who spent large amounts of time and money on anime and manga, or just spent a lot of time focusing.
It seems like the whole label of otaku doesn't really have to do. Hold on, let me just see the actual definition of otaku. People intense often in specific hobbies and most commonly, so it's most commonly anime, manga, and video games. So it doesn't have to be. So an otaku is just someone who has an intense hobby, an obsessive passion for a specific subject or hobby. This can range from gaming, computers, trains, photography, cars, idol. Okay, so although I know it as like, what's the word I'm looking for? Nerdy hobbies. It doesn't have to be that, right? Just the otaku lifestyle itself is just being obsessed with something to a, probably the word I would use is a detrimental degree, right? But it doesn't have to be like anime and stuff like that.
Saying on any other niche hobby.
I'm only thinking of that because if you guys don't know, MiHoYo, the people who made Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zone Zero, their motto is is it Otaku runs the world? I think so. Otaku changed the world, I believe is what it is. MiHoYo's. Tech Otaku save the world. Yep, there it is. That's what it is. That's kind of where I got.
The Western equivalent would be Magic the Gathering or Warhammer 40k. Which are things that
40K.
I'm really, really into, but it doesn't make...
I never got into Warhammer, but I respect it. I respect that kind of hobby. That I respect the niche. One, because it is it seems insanely manly, which is really cool, but it's also got such a dedication. You have to have such dedication to Warhammer, right? Because you have to paint the little figures and stuff like that. It sounds really cool, and the armor looks really, really cool. I think I would just be like I would probably call myself more of a poser, because if I were to play 40k Space Marine, I feel like I would like that, right? I would just be kind of like a fan of that.
They want to kill people.
I'm just not creative.
When that guy in the pod pulls out this utterly fucking broken piece of shit, where he then spawns about 30...
I don't know much about Magic the Gathering. I probably know more about V-Card than Magic the Gathering. It also helps that I have like 4 boxes of V-Card, but still.
Drazi spawns and gives them all Annihilator 1. Though, to be fair, I personally have committed this particular war crime. More than once.
All is dust
Kaigo Okinogi, a prominent Japanese psychiatrist, wrote that the case represented the danger of a whole generation of youth who cannot make the transition from the fantasy world of videos and manga to reality.
Right.
And that quote was the fuse that lit the weeb version of the Satanic Panic.
Honestly, it feels like something like that is... They weren't wrong. And you kind of still feel that today. But it's more of a mix of other things, right? The world feeling a little bit less... It feels a little bit more hopeless and a lot more... So you rather just escape into fiction and stuff like that, which does have a detrimental effect, like population. Like Japan itself has a population problem. We have a population problem. Everyone has a population problem except for like China... And like probably India, but still, actually, I think China still does too. Like, so they were kind of right, but I feel like they didn't know that they were right and to what degree. into what the cause would have been, right?
Suddenly, the word otaku stopped meaning just nerd or geek and started meaning serial killer. As the news spread, parents began panicking about what their children were watching and reading. Schools started warning students about the dangers of fantasy and becoming socially isolated.
Ooh.
And to avoid all of this weird social judgment, because there's a lot of that in Japan, their society is pretty much completely built around it, people started lying about their hobbies, hiding their collections, or just flat out throwing them out, or even fucking burning them. Job applications, even if they were in the anime or manga industry, started completely avoiding mentioning anime or manga. Absolutely no one wanted to be associated with what the media described.
It's kind of crazy to hear this and to see where anime is now, right? Because despite this happening, I feel like it, probably in this point of time, it did, right? It had such a huge, insanely detrimental hit to anime. But to see how it came back to be as big as it is now, right? It's basically running their economy at this point and propping it up, which I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Not saying that. I don't know if I said that. It sounded like in a negative light. It's not, right? It's kind of, I wonder how they were able to make that comeback. Or maybe it's just people. No, because people definitely listen, right? You're saying that people burned stuff. I wonder what made the comeback, honestly.
As a breeding ground for murderers. And it didn't stop there. There were even reported cases of otaku huntings where people would...
Especially in the... I think this was in the 80s, right? Where, you know, technology wasn't as good as it is now. So people listened to, like, outlets and media and journalists and stuff like that, right?
Actually find and assault fans of anime and manga.
Oh, jeez.
And even anime and manga creators were being assaulted in the streets. Hundreds of amateur artists who spent years and years perfecting their craft just flat out gave up because they were all being portrayed as unsociable retards.
Wow.
Even Hayao Miyazaki himself was put in some very uncomfortable situations and interviews just because he shared the murderer's
I kind of
last
figured,
name. And the most insane part, the actual fucking police started raiding anime and manga shops for obscene material.
What?
Like it was a fucking cartel bust. And artists were also questioned or accused of promoting depravity. And this is in Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely great and wonderful society, but behind closed doors, they are a pretty depraved bunch. But it didn't just stop at social stigma either. The anime industry in the late 80s was very, very dependent on the home market. And the market had been hit very, very hard.
Right.
Video stores, after endless harassment from the police and the public, just decided, fuck all of this, and started removing anime and manga from their shelves entirely. Publishers distanced themselves from anime and manga material, and even large creators who, before the case had room to experiment, started self-censoring to avoid being dragged through the mud.
Really?
Even international exports took a nosedive when information of the otaku panic got to foreign media, with US outlets warning about violent anime corrupting the youth. It was estimated that the anime and manga market saw a decline of around 40% in the early 90s.
You know, here's the thing, too, is there are certain things where it... So I didn't know about this specifically, but it's not even like the last time that I feel like a anime or a Japanese IP was hit, because if no one remembers, there was a certain point where religious people, and I think they still do now, but I could be wrong, Chad, someone might have to correct me on that. And I remember hearing this too, they made a whole thing about Pokemon and it teaching the theory of evolution, and so it's satanic and stuff like that. Just because they have evolutions, right? Like your Pokemon evolve and stuff like that and get stronger. It's crazy to see how many things get in the way, or not get in the way, but how many certain different things come out and people attack a certain medium, right? This one kind of, I don't want to say it makes sense because I don't think it does, but you can kind of understand the panic that it made because of this guy. But I still wonder, I guess it would have done the same thing if they had actually focused on the stuff that was like, you know, the slasher films and stuff like that. I imagine that stuff would probably take a hit too if that was what they had focused on. And I think Japan is actually known for having really good horror films, right? They have like insane, it's like Japan and Korea have really, really good horror films. They have like really scary movies, and I'm not going to touch, brother. No, hell no.
With some theorizing that this percentage was even higher. That's close to half of the market just fucking gone. If the industry's power level pre-murder case was Goku, then post-industry it was kind of like Yamcha. For a while, it genuinely looked like the entire panic might destroy the entire subculture. Debates still rage on to this day about whether Tsutomu was insane or simply evil. I'm going to say, personally, he was ontologically evil, but the nuance of that discussion rarely makes it into the mainstream media because the far more exciting narrative was, and still is, he's an evil killer, he watched anime, therefore, anime evil.
I think it was, like, if you hear the story of his life, it feels like it was something that just brewed over time, and the death of his grandfather was what pushed him over the edge and basically shattered his psyche. Like, he was already not a very mentally sound person to begin with, right? And towards the end, man, it just kind of boiled over after that major event. Because I feel like with these kinds of stories, there's always like a major event that happens that just pushes someone over the edge, and that's what happened with him. It was it was just a collective things. I don't think anyone's inherently born evil, right? I just feel like everyone's born with a clean slate. It's just, you know, I don't know. I guess his upbringing, life in general, just having no one to care for him and not being there for him, which why you should always advocate for mental health, right? Everyone should feel like they have someone they can talk to and be listened to and heard and feel like they matter and they're not just going to go out seeking attention in the worst ways possible.
The actual legal saga dragged on for comically long, considering the subject matter. The trial officially began on the 30th of March 1990. And the Japanese justice system tried to answer a very simple question that actually ended up becoming a legal nightmare. Was Tsutomu clinically insane, or was he just an evil piece of shit? And that argument went on for 7 whole years.
I don't think it matters, right? There's just some things that are unforgivable, and I'm not gonna, you know, I don't, how do I say this? I can't tell you what to do with him, but I'm just saying that for the justice system, it should be pretty cut and dry what the outcome should have been, right? I'm not here to pass judgment of someone, but if the legal system, who is going to pass judgment on him, they have a pretty easy slam dunk as to what should be done with him, right?
With over 260 hearings. Experts argued back and forth about it, with one side saying that Tsutomu had schizophrenia or dissociative disorder, while the other side was arguing, yeah, this guy is an extremely disturbed and fucked up individual, and he needs to go away for a very, very, very long time.
Forever.
And he was completely, fully aware.
He shouldn't go away for a long time. He should go away forever. Whether he dies in a cell or... Honestly, I would rather him be made to serve the rest of his life in prison because, you know, taking him out is just too quick for my liking, right? Put him in gen population... let him live his rest of his life like that in fear, like the kids had to, right? Because I imagine the general criminals, even in Japanese prisons, don't look too fondly on his kind. So don't give him protective custody. Put him in general population, and he has to live the rest of his life out that way. No easy way out. He doesn't get the easy way out
of what he was doing. The court eventually agreed with the last conclusion. And so, on the 14th of April 1997, Tokyo District Court sentenced Tsutomu to death.
That's appropriate.
They upheld his death penalty in 2001, and in 2006, they rejected his final appeal. By that point, the case had been dragging on for almost 2 decades.
Jeez.
So, what happened during those years? Well, in 1994, Tsutomu's father actually sold the family home and all of the family land and gave all of the money to the victims' families.
Yeah.
Reportedly saying it would be unfair to spend it defending his son. Shortly after that, Tsutomu's father jumped off of a bridge and killed himself. I would say that...
I'm not... Man, it's going to be harsh to say. I'm not really surprised by that, right? Your social status and your social standing really matters in Japan. So something like this where your family and your family line from now until forever is just tainted because of the action of one person. This is not... his dad's action is not really surprising to me, right? He probably even blames himself for what happened because he wasn't there, you know. At a certain point, it's probably going to start brewing in his mind that, you know, could I have prevented this or something like that? And it's just going to cause him to take the ultimate action.
I feel bad for him, but I also kind of don't. Because there is a very, very good chance that all of that could have been completely avoided if he just, I don't know, was a normal fucking...
if he just hugged his son once in a while. You know, Vegeta hugged his son at least once. Surely you could manage that, right?
And paid
even Omni-Man hugged... even Nolan hugged Mark on the show. Surely you can do it, right?
Attention to his son once in a while and actually raised him properly.
Yeah.
Instead of just thinking of him as an afterthought and leaving him essentially locked in a room with nothing but shit tons of murder and snuff films to keep him occupied.
Yeah.
Maybe if you were a dad and you were actually, you know, keeping an eye on that shit, you could have, you know, nipped that in the bud and stopped for a little.
I don't want... Man, I'm trying to... The problem is that I'm not, man, maybe I'm just, I don't want to say I'm too forgiving, but I'm just too, I don't want to blame his dad, but it's hard not to, right? With what his father has done and how he's just almost hand waved. He didn't even, like, he wasn't even involved in his kid's life in the beginning, which caused a lot of the mental strain on the kid, right? On Miyazaki.
Girls from getting murdered, but that's just me. But to top all of that off, extended relatives of the family started actually divorcing their spouses just to remove the Miyazaki name from their households. Then, on the 17th of June 2008, then Minister of Justice Kunio Hatayama signed Tsutomu Miyazaki's death warrant.
Wait, where? When?
17th of June 2008.
Oh, 2008.
Then Minister of Justice Kunio Hatayama signed Tsutomu Miyazaki's death warrant. And he was executed that very same day.
Oh, they wasted no time.
Are a little bit weird and kind of fucked up because prisoners are not actually told the date of their execution ahead of time. They simply wake up one morning and the guards come into their cell and just say, "Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey, today's the big day, big guy." It's just out of nowhere, like no warning whatsoever.
Wake the fuck up. Wake up, samurai. It's time to die.
And I think that this method is just to inflict psychological torture onto the prisoner.
Yeah.
But considering what Tsutomu did, I'm pretty okay with that.
I'm not losing sleep over him having to. I'm not losing sleep over him losing sleep of his final date being announced. You know what I'm saying? You're not really going to catch me shedding a tear for him losing his sanity. You did it to yourself.
The execution itself is by hanging.
Oh.
And it is carried out by 3 officers who each all have a button to press at the same time. Now, only one of the buttons actually opens the trap door.
I think they do the same thing with Firing Squad, right? They never tell you which gun is actually loaded with the real rounds and the rest are blanks to kind of leave people free of that, of thinking that you were the one who made or who took the person's life. Although, I'm not going to lie, these people, they probably wanted to know. They would. I can't imagine these people lost sleep, and I don't blame them if they just like, I kind of wish it was me who pushed the button.
But none of the guards know which button was the one that opened it. And this is to ease the psychological burden.
Right.
Though, in this particular case, I somehow doubt that any of them had a problem with pressing the right button. So, rest in peace, you won't be missed. Even Tsutomu's own mother refused to collect his ashes after the execution, telling officials, and I quote, "I'll leave the cleaning up to you." Even though he died on a scaffold like the giant piece of garbage that he was, the panic Tsutomu created lived on for years, and it poisoned public perception of anime and manga fans, as well as anime and manga creators, for a very long time. And the word otaku became an insult. And yet, it survived. Shows like Neon Genesis Evangelion, with its themes of trauma and existential horror, resonated with Japan's lost decade generation. Then Pokemon exploded worldwide, with it today being one of, if not the most, well-known franchise in the world. Then we had Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Cowboy Bebop, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Death Note, and many, many more all came after it. And then Spirited Away won an actual fucking Oscar in the Best Animated Feature Film category, beating out Ice Age and Lilo and Stitch, and becoming the first anime movie to win that award. Anime then
very well deserved, by the way.
It's an amazing with a string of hits, proving that the medium isn't just for repulsive idiots.
Yeah.
And eventually it exploded into one of the biggest entertainment industries on the planet. Today, Japanese animation is watched by me, you, millions of other people all around the world, and it's basically become unavoidable. I can't open up Twitter, Instagram, or any other social media without seeing something anime-related. Though it's usually followers of mine with anime profile pictures calling someone else the N-word. The point being, media...
Chat, if anime had... If this was actually the death of anime, we never would have gotten people with anime profile pictures ratioing a bunch of people on Twitter. I think that's... They can't have that, can we?
Yeah, is just media. That's it. It is a form of entertainment, and that is its only purpose. To entertain. I'm sick of the old tired arguments of video games cause violence, playing Dungeons and Dragons causes devil worship, let's ban things,
Wait, was that one
blah,
for
blah,
Dungeons and Dragons?
Blah,
I think I
because
heard that.
That has been said about every single piece of media all throughout history.
I don't know why people want to find something to demonize when it's just like, you could look at the person that made... Look at the life of the person who who caused a tragedy or caused some sort of catastrophic event. And you can see plainly why it happened. And pretty much, I'm basically seeing 10 times out of 10, it wasn't the medium that they were consuming that caused it. It didn't help in certain cases, like with this guy watching a bunch of horror and slasher films. It didn't help, but it definitely wasn't something that it's just, you just blame it on it, right? I think that you need to look into the person more than the medium, and that's when you're gonna get to the actual bottom of whatever could have gone wrong in their life.
See the shit that they say about music and video games today? They were saying the exact same things about books in the 80s.
Do people still say that about mediums, about certain mediums these days? I would have thought they would have gotten over it by now. Mostly just they could probably do it now, but no one would listen, right? At a certain point, certain things, especially with the free access of information, you just kind of hear people say that, and it's like, whatever, bro.
1800s. Fucking hell, even if you want to go even further back, even Plato himself, when he wrote the Republic in circa 380 BC, was advocating for censoring certain poems and plays because they might cause people to commit immoral acts or make children lose touch with reality. They were arguing about this shit and using the same excuses in ancient fucking Greece. This shit is literally
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Plato's probably punching the air on that one, huh? Sorry, buddy.
Thousands of years old, and it's just fucking annoying now. I also
it's pretty
absolutely
obnoxious, yeah.
hate the whole this bad person liked X thing, so that means all people who like X thing are also bad. Now,
I'm pretty sure, and you guys could correct me on this, I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure, I'm confident to say 99% of people in the world have had to have breathed air at one point or another. You shouldn't stop breathing air just because that's a thing. You know, there's probably special exceptions to that, but for the most part, you can kind of say that everyone has breathed air at one point or another. So this is a very dumb argument.
I'm not defending all of anime. I'm definitely not doing that. There is
just like it's more so you don't have to defend every anime. It's more so you have to accept the concept that every kind of medium has that weird thing, and it does. Yeah.
A lot of anime out there that is absolutely fucked up and degenerate as hell. And
yeah.
Let's face it, if you like that stuff, you are...
Jesus Christ.
Never seen the gates.
Why did you just show me that?
I am completely aware
Good
that there
Lord.
are some idiots out there who have been inspired to do awful things because of the media that they've watched. Like the guy who murdered someone because he was inspired by the TV show Dexter, or those girls that tried to murder their friend to appease Slender Man. Yeah, it turns out that was a fucking thing. But that wasn't even what happened with Tsutomu's case.
I think that person was
He
like
had
schizophrenic or
an
something.
absolute shit ton of horror movies and other horrific content amongst those tapes, which would have been the most likely culprits to inspire him to do what he did, but they instead focused on the anime that he had, which clearly had nothing to do with his actions. It was the same as when the Columbine shooting happened and they were focusing on the fact that one of the boys owned Marilyn Manson's album, and that ended up becoming something that the media just revolved around for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was the exact same thing. It wasn't Marilyn Manson that made them do the shooting. It was something fucking else.
Oh, it was something
worse.
worse,
The conflicting morals of this story are boomers gonna boomer, but also parents
need to
keep
parent.
an eye on the things your children are watching.
Parents need to parent is probably what we need to get there. Parents need to parent. And not lackadaisically, like very much so. They need to parent, not over-parent, mind you, but at the very least, be involved in your kid's life. Well, I think we can agree with that, chat, can't we? I think we can. I think we all have the same idea when it comes to that.
It's your job to raise your child properly.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody subscribe.
What an outro. What a roller coaster that was. I need to go take a lap now. Chad, I need to go for a walk. I hope you guys enjoy. Come like, subscribe. I'll catch you gamers in the next one. Bye.